Hello students, I am Dr. Pooja Mehta from Inder Kumar Gujral, Punjab Technical University, Kapurthala, Punjab. Now we will be discussing Introduction to the concept of personality. Personality is a major psychological factor affecting behavior of an individual. The word personality is used very commonly in our daily lives to describe a person's job prospects, achievements, smartness, dressing sense, popularity, physical attraction, the way of speaking, etc. But this view of personality is very narrow, and this narrow view is not enough to understand and predict the behavior of an individual in the organizational context. In a broader sense, personality can be viewed as a dynamic concept, the concept which describes the growth and development of an individual's whole psychological system. Rather than looking at parts of the person, personality looks at some aggregate whole that is greater than the sum of the parts. A thorough study of personality will help us in understanding the differences between various individuals. It will also help us in examining why the behavior of individuals vary from individual to individual in an organization. Now we are going to discuss in detail the meaning of the personality. Dear students, personality refers to a role which an individual displays to the public. Personality does not only mean the charm, beauty, smiling face, and attitude of a person towards life. It is much more than that. Personality is a dynamic concept which describes the growth and development of a person's whole psychological system. A personality of a human being includes his or her eternal appearances and behavior, the inner awareness of self as a permanent organizing force, and the particular organization of measurable traits, inner and outer. Dear students, personality can be understood as an individual difference that lends consistency to a person's behavior. Personality is a relatively stable set of characteristics that influence an individual's behavior and can be described as the sum total of ways in which an individual reacts and interacts with others. The concept of personality can be better understood by a definition given by Gordon Allport. Personality is the dynamic organization within the individual of those psychological systems that determine his unique adjustment to his environment. Another very important definition of personality is given by Fred Luthans, who says that personality means how a person affects others and how he understands and views himself, as well as pattern of inner and outer measurable traits and the person-situation interaction. Though different psychologists interpret personality in different ways, but in general, it can be said that personality is much more than just a role which an individual displays to the public. Personality represents the sum total of several attributes which are noticeable in an individual and which determine his pattern of behavior. Now, after discussing the meaning and definition of personality, we are going to discuss determinants of personality. Major determinants of personality are heredity and environment. First of all, we will discuss heredity. Heredity is referred to those attributes of personality which are determined at the time of conception of an individual. The characteristics such as body type, build of the body, facial attractiveness, eye color, hair color, height, temperament, sex, energy level, and reflexes are generally inherited from the parents either completely or partially. This approach argues that the basis of human personality lies in the molecular structure of the genes. Next factor affecting personality is environment. Heredity is an important determinant of the personality, but if all traits of personality were determined by heredity, they would be fixed at the time of the birth and would never change in the lifespan of an individual. Sadly, it is not true. This means that personality of an individual is determined as much by the environment as it does by the heredity. Environment of a person which affects his personality is comprised of culture, family background, society, and situation. Influence of all these factors on personality will be discussed in detail. Culture. Culture defines the norms, values, attitudes, and beliefs which are passed from one generation to another generation. Second environmental factor is family. Family is one of the very important determinants of personality. It affects the personality development of an individual, specifically in the early phases of the life. Influence of family on person's personality can be determined by some very important variables such as socio-economic level of the family, size of the family, birth order of the child, race, religion, and education level of the parents. Society. Society is an important factor that determines the development of personality of an individual. Various groups and relevant people of society, as well as the organization, exert a great influence on the personality development of an individual. This phenomena is also called socialization. In other words, we can say that socialization involves the process by which a person learns and acquires the knowledge from the society. The behavior patterns that are customary and acceptable to the family, society, and organizations are always learned from the society. Now comes the role of situation. Situational factors also play a very important role in determining the personality of an individual. It is often said that life is the collection of experiences. Every individual faces different experiences in his life which exert a great deal of influence on his personality development. It sometimes offers constraints and sometimes provides push to the person's behavior. For example, a physically weak and a coward person sometimes perform heroically in saving life of his closed ones. Now we are going to discuss the personality traits which are important from organizational behavior's point of view. First of all, we will discuss the meaning of personality traits. Personality traits. They can be defined as enduring characteristics that describe an individual's behavior. A trait can be better described as the tendency of an individual to respond in an equivalent manner to various stimuli he is facing in the daily life. Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, also known as MBTI model, and the Big Five personality model. These two models provide a very useful framework for classifying traits of human personality which are important from organization's point of view. Now we will discuss these two models one by one. The first instrument which we are going to discuss is MBTI. MBTI stands for the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. MBTI is an instrument which is very commonly used worldwide to assess personality of an individual. This instrument is comprised of 100 statements which are pertaining to assess human personality. MBTI instrument asks about how a person generally feels in a particular situation. Based on the responses given by the individual is classified as extroverted or introverted. Extroverted is denoted as E and introverted is denoted as I. Sensing or intuitive, where sensing is denoted as S and intuitive is denoted as N. Thinking or feeling, where thinking is denoted as T and feeling is denoted as F. And judging or perceiving, where judging is denoted as J and perceiving is denoted as P. These terms can be further explained as extroverted versus introverted personality. Extroverted people are those people which are social, friendly, and self-confident, whereas introverted people are more shy and calm. Second category of personality is sensing versus intuitive. Sensing personalities are very practical and prefer to follow routines and orders. On the other hand, intuitive people are not very practical and usually rely on unconscious processes. Third category of personality is thinking versus feeling. Feeling type of people generally take decisions based on their personal values and emotions, whereas thinking type of people are generally more logical and rational. Fourth category is judging versus perceiving. Judging types of personalities want control over their decisions and prefer their word to be ordered and very structured, whereas perceiving types are more flexible and spontaneous. Therefore, we can say that MBTI instrument categorize the personality of human being into these four classifications. The Big Five personality model. The Big Five model of personality is a framework which provides us five basic dimensions of personality: extraversion, agreeableness, emotional stability, conscientiousness, and openness to experience. We can use this model to assess an individual's personality on these five dimensions. Firstly, we will discuss extraversion. This dimension of personality describes the comfort level of an individual in terms of their relationships with others. Extroverts are more talkative, they are more social, they are gregarious, means they love to be in the society, they are friendly, they are confident, and in opposite to this, introverts are reserved, less social, and very calm. The next dimension of this model is agreeableness. This trait refers to an individual's ability to get along with others. Highly agreeable personalities are very cooperative and very caring, whereas People who score low on this dimension, they tend to be very uncooperative, disagreeable, and very self-centered. The next dimension is emotional stability. Emotional stability reflects a person's ability to withstand the stress. People who are highly emotionally stable tend to be very calm, feel secure, and self confident. And on the other hand, people who are emotionally weak, they tend to be depressed, nervous, and insecure. Conscientiousness. This dimension assesses the reliability score of an individual. Highly conscientious people are more dependable, reliable, systematic, and well organized, whereas the people who have low conscientiousness are irresponsible, less dependable, negligent, and unorganized. Openness to experience. This dimension measures a person's interest and creativity. Extremely open people are highly creative and are always open to new ideas, whereas the people who score low on this dimension are less interested or do not respond to the new ideas. They generally wish to stick to the conventional ways of doing things. Now we are going to discuss other very important traits of personality which are relevant to the field of organizational behavior. These personality traits also influence human beings' personality while on work. First trait is authoritarianism. This concept was developed by a very renowned psychologist, Adorno, during World War II. This concept was developed to measure susceptibility to autocratic and anti-democratic appeals. Authoritarian people generally treat obedience to authority as necessary. They view people negatively. They usually stick to the conventional value systems toward people and work. Authoritarians are very rigid and against decision making based on the feelings and emotions. Such type of people generally prefer organized and structured work environment which is governed by the rules and regulations. Authoritarians always prefer autocratic style of leadership. They respect the people who are on the higher positions of the organizational hierarchy and expect respect from those who are working under them. Second personality trait which we are going to discuss is locus of control. Locus of control refers to an individual's belief that events happening around him or her are either in his or her own control or determined by some forces out of one's control. The former types of individuals are called internals and have internal locus of control, and the latter type of people are externals and have external locus of control. Locus of control is an individual's generalized belief regarding internal versus external control over the situation surrounding him. Based on the locus of control, personalities can be of two types: internals and externals. Internals believe that they are masters of their fate and whatever is happening in their lives is due to their own hard work. Internals believe that they have control over their behavior and therefore they are more active in seeking information and performing better on the jobs. Internals usually enjoy higher levels of job satisfaction than others. Second category is externals. Externals are those people who believe that whatever is happening in their lives is determined by their luck or fate or some other outside force which is beyond their control. It has been usually seen that externals tend to be frequently absent from their jobs, they are less satisfied, they are less involved in the jobs than the internals. Next trait is Machiavellianism. The term Machiavellianism was derived from the works of Niccolo Machiavelli. Machiavellianism is referred to the tendency of an individual to manipulate others in order to acquire and gain power. Such people are more likely to be involved into organizational politics. The people who display these traits with higher intensity are called high macs. Characteristics of high macs. Prominent characteristics of high macs are: high macs are more pragmatic, they are more practical, they are emotionally very stable, they tend to adopt any type of means to achieve their results. High macs are more manipulative and persuasive. They usually win more. High macs generally flourish in the organization when they interact with others directly than indirectly. Such type of people are more likely to be successful in the environment where minimum rules and regulations prevail. They are more self-confident and have very high self-esteem. Achievement orientation. Achievement orientation is another personality trait which is very useful to predict the behavior of individuals at work. People with high need to achieve tend to put continuous efforts to do things in a better way. Such people strongly believe that their success or failure is due to their own strengths or weaknesses and their own actions. These people neither like to perform very easy tasks as they don't seem to be challenging, nor they like to perform very difficult tasks as chances of failure are high in case of difficult tasks. Therefore, people with high achievement orientation prefer the tasks that involve moderate level of difficulty. High achievers generally perform better when continuous performance feedback is given to them and the job has direct relationship between efforts and rewards. Self-esteem. Self-esteem refers to the feeling of one's liking or disliking for oneself, or it can be denoted as degree of self-respect a person has for himself. This trait is directly related to an individual's desire for success. People who have high self-esteem have full confidence in their abilities and they tend to undertake challenging and unconventional tasks. Such people are more satisfied with their jobs, they are more friendly, they are more affectionate, and establish sound interpersonal relationships on their jobs. On contrary to this, people with low self-esteem are more prone to be influenced by external forces and tend to seek approvals of their behaviors from others. People with low self-esteem, when posted on higher managerial positions, tend to please others and therefore they are less likely to choose unconventional methods of performing the tasks. They are generally depressed and have the tendency to blame others for their failures. Self-monitoring. Self-monitoring is a personality trait which describes a person's ability to adjust his or her behavior to external factors. Individuals with high self-monitoring trait pay considerable attention to external cues, what is appropriate in a particular situation, and behave differently in different situations. On the other hand, low self-monitors are not as vigilant to situational cues and act from internal states rather than paying attention to the situation. As a result, the behavior of low self monitors is consistent across the situations. High self monitors, because of their varied behavior with the situation, appears to be more predictable and less consistent. High self monitors are capable of presenting striking contradictions between their public persona and their private self, whereas low self monitors cannot disguise themselves in this way. Risk taking. Every individual is different from another individual in terms of their willingness to take risks and chances. This trait exhibits an individual's propensity to assume or avoid risk. The degree to which managers are willing to take risks influence their decision making and how much information they require before making their choice. High risk taking managers make more rapid decisions and use less information in making their choices than low risk taking managers. Generally, managers in organizations tend to be risk aversive. There are still individual differences on this dimension. As a result, it makes sense to organize these differences and even to consider aligning risk-taking propensity with specific job demands. The next very important we are going to discuss is type A personality and type B personality. Human beings can also be categorized as type A personality and type B personality. This categorization is based on their general behavior pattern. Type A personality describes a person who displays the characteristics like competitiveness, time urgency, social status, insecurity, aggression, hostility, and a quest for achievements. Characteristics of type A personalities. Major characteristics of type A personalities are they are usually moving very hurriedly, eating and walking. Type A personalities tend to undertake two or more tasks simultaneously. Type A personalities cannot be relaxed and do not believe in having leisure time. Type A personality people believe in evaluating their success in terms of how much they gain from everything. Characteristics of type B personalities. Important characteristics of type B personalities are that they never become impatient and they never face hurriedness in their life. Type B personalities never discuss their achievement with others unless or until their situation demands so. Type B personalities are more relaxed and play for fun and relaxation than to win. The next trait is self-efficacy. Self-efficacy can be described as an individual's belief in his own capability of performing a task. The people who have higher self-efficacy are generally more confident that they will succeed in the task, whereas the people with low self-efficacy are more likely to slacken their effort to give up altogether in difficult situations. In addition to this, individuals high in self-efficacy seem to respond negative feedback with increased efforts and motivation, and those who score low in self-efficacy are likely to reduce their efforts when given negative feedback. Believing in one's own capability to get something done is an important facilitator of success. So students, let us now summarize what we have learned Personality is a major psychological factor affecting behavior of an individual. Personality can be viewed as a dynamic concept which describes the growth and development of an individual's whole psychological system. Rather than looking at the parts of the person's personality, the concept of personality looks at some aggregate whole which is greater than the sum of the parts. Personality does not mean the charm, beauty, smiling face, attitude of a person towards life, but it is a dynamic concept which describes the growth and development. In order to understand how the personality of an individual is developed, four major determinants of personality, heredity, environment, society, and situation have been discussed in this module. Thank you.